Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of NIO, ticker symbol NIO. And I am recording this on Monday, November 24th. Might be kind of surprising why I'm doing a follow-up NIO video, and that's because they report earnings tomorrow, and because I did put out this poll based on a post that I put out on X saying that if it got 10 likes, I'd put out this video. You guys gave me 10 likes. I did not expect that to happen, so thank you for doing that. If you haven't seen it, make sure you give it a like. Just helps out the channel and all of that. But yeah, I wanted to talk about some of the stuff from this post. Based on the chart here, this is on the monthly time scale. And so I'll actually go over that towards the end. I first want to go over some options data because that's really what I was looking for in the day prior to earnings. That will be in the pre-market tomorrow, November 25th. And the expected move around that is around 8%, 8% plus or minus about 50 cents. To the upside or downside, who knows? But what I was looking at, what I wanted to see was a clear signal in the net call and or put premium. And so that's what we're looking at here on Unusual Whales. And we can see that I believe NIO closed at 575. It looks like it's at 580 in the after hours. And in yellow, we can see that the stock price did go up over the course of the day, but then it started to kind of sell off towards the end of the day in about the last hour, power hour of trading. So maybe that's not such a good sign. But really, I just wanted to look at the premium here. And so what we see, just to get it out of the way, because it's easy, is the net put premium in red, more or less flat. Looks like that actually came down by $230,000. So that would suggest the selling of puts. So that's potentially bullish. But the thing that actually stands out to me is the increase in net call premium, which is in green. And that went up, ended the day up by about $1.46 million. So that is a good amount of money. That does suggest it is bullish. However, what I mentioned in the post is that this is just a gradual increase in that net call premium. And so that's not really telling me that there's like an unusual whale or, just a big fish buying, big chunks of these calls. And since we do see this gradual increase in the net call premium, that makes me think it's probably more retail driven. So that's like saying, and to be clear, I do not have a position, whether long or short. I am not in NIO. But if I were to be buying, I'm not a big fish. So I just be buying, some calls throughout the day, maybe, 1,000, 10,000, who knows, to be honest, that's too big of money for me as far as getting into options. But you could see that tens of thousands, maybe some bigger orders would add up over the course of the day to potentially $1.46 million. And so that's effectively what we see here, what I'm seeing. And so while this is in the favor of the bulls, it's not such a clear signal that there's going to be a big move tomorrow to the upside, but it also doesn't necessarily tell me that there's going to be a big move to the downside. It's really just, it's kind of indifferent because there's not a big whale pushing this up or down. And it's really just, retail sentiment wanting the price to go up, which makes sense. I mean, I feel like if you're watching this video, you probably want the stock price to go up. But yeah, I'm going to give some examples of some bigger changes in net call premium that have since led to changes in price, just to kind of give you an example of that. But I did want to point out that just if I scroll down a little bit, we can see just above my head, the bear bull slider is majority on the bull side, 56%. So that is in favor of an upside move tomorrow. But these people may all get rugged. It's quite the possibility. But just like looking at this, just this gradual increase, people are betting on the price going higher. But it's, again, only $1.46 million, which, I mean, is a lot, but it's not one order. It's a conglomerate of orders over the course of the day. And then we also saw the price coming down. What's nice about that is we do see a little bit of divergence here with the stock price coming down, but there not being a decrease in the net call premium, suggesting that those calls that were bought were held as price did come down. So that is a good sign. But anyways, I wanted to just do a couple examples. I have talked about these in the past. And so I'm just going to give, it's two different time frames, so 4 days in total. And so this is, it looks like September 22nd over here and September 23rd over here. And I had actually talked about these thinking that NIO could be putting in a top, and people were kind of insulting to me. And so I kind of taken a step back a little bit about NIO. But what we saw is, net call premium in green here being kind of flat. But then in the last like 20 minutes, not 15, 20 minutes of trading, here it looks like at 3:40 p.m. Eastern, we see a net call premium at negative $2.11 million. So, it's still, it's negative there, but it's kind of flat. And then we see this dump, negative 13.13 million. Hopefully you can see that, the numbers right here that I'm reading. But yeah, up. So like right here where the cursor is, that's at negative 2.11 million. And then at the end of the day, negative 13.13. So that's a pretty big drop. That's, like an $11 million drop right there at the end of the day. I was saying that looked kind of nefarious. And at that time, the NIO stock price was around $7. It did go higher following that up to around 8. So I was a little early in calling the top, but it has since pulled back to, near right around 550. Now it's at like 580 or so. And so that to me was a topping signal, this big drop in the net call premium. The day after we saw the exact same thing, except we actually saw an increase in net call premium being up here around $900,000. But then in the last 20 minutes of trading, we saw it dump from about 743,000 down to end the day at around negative 9 million. So that's about a $10 million drop. So this was telling me that we would see price coming down. Price went up following that, but then it has since come down. So that's kind of, like a topping signal with the options data here. And I'm cutting it. It's going to be over 8 minutes. I apologize about that, but hopefully this information is useful. And this is another example where I did see net call premium dropping. And I'm sorry that these examples are bearish, but we have seen a top and a rollover. So the most recent examples of this are bearish selling of calls, or at least I should say that the decrease in the net call premium, drops in net call premium. We see the red down here that does suggest selling, red over here, especially on this day, that does suggest selling, whereas over here, it's not as pronounced. And so this is, again, September 22nd, September 23rd. And here, now we're looking at November 7th, which was a Friday, I believe. And then over here, November 10th, so over that weekend. And so on that Friday, we initially saw net call premium coming up, then we saw a gradual decrease in that net call premium. And this was when stock price was around $7 again. Gradual decrease, and it kind of flattened out. And I actually wanted to do a follow-up video on this, but I knew that people were just unhappy with me talking about price coming down based on data like this, so I didn't do it. So if you just want me to share information with you, give likes, share, comment. That helps out with the algorithm and all of that on YouTube. So I do appreciate that. If my opinion differs from yours, that is totally fine. We are here to learn and to try to understand the market together. And if we have differing opinions, that's totally fine. Ideally, if I'm short or long something and you're long or short something, hopefully the way that we trade, we can, both make money. That's how markets work. You can make trades go in both directions. You can make money go in both directions. But anyways, over here then on, this is November 10th, we saw net call premium flat here, and then it did come down, but kind of gradually. And I should note that for the 7th, net call premium came down by $11.87 million. You can see that number right here for that day, the 7th. And then very similar for the 10th, net call premium came down by $11.57 million. And following that, we did see price decline. So I think that's just some really useful data to be considering. And so what do we have over here? We have the exact opposite of that with net call premium increasing. So that is bullish. It's just gradual and it's not tens of millions of dollars. So I'm less convinced by this. So if I were to put money on this, which I am not, and I had to put money on it, I would put money on it going long. But if I could choose to not put money on it, I wouldn't, because this signal is not clear enough to me. And what is clear to me, which just looks very, very beautiful, this is actually looking at the monthly chart of NIO. And before I dive into that, I want to give a shout out to the Cantonese cat on X. You can see his profile there as well as over here. He did some recent analysis on NIO. I did go over that in a previous video. I'll try to link it in the description. But I really like his analysis because I feel like, I'm not necessarily contrarian. I try to be, I try to look at both sides and try to understand things. But he's been, bullish when people are bearish and vice versa. And he's been aligned with my thought process. Or I've been aligned with his, I guess, because he's superior to me, I would say. I'm his junior. He's the senior, analyst. But, so maybe there's some confirmation bias there. But, like he's bullish on Ethereum and like everybody hates Ethereum. And he's talked about it being a great opportunity in April. I put out a video called Happy ETHster. And here he's also talking about NIO coming back to around $5, looking bullish overall, but needing to retest before breaking out. And he's done some very nice charts looking at the bigger picture time frame. So these are the monthly candles, and I do have the y-axis on the log scale. And so with that being said, this just gives us a bigger picture perspective. And so for me, what I see as like a deep value play for NIO is this light blue line here. This is on the monthly, and that is the 20-month simple moving average. The blue up here, that's the 50-month simple moving average. But what we have with that 20-month, the light blue there, is it is right around $5. So $4.95. I've talked about that level, but you just see, looking at this chart, to me, this just looks so beautiful. You like over here, you have this breakout from that moving average, launches up, then breaks down, retests that level, gets rejected, retests it again, gets rejected. And, and I was making videos around here, probably both times, about NIO breaking out and it got rejected. Now we finally broken out. And so what I think NIO needs to do is retest, pulling back to between $5 and maybe getting as low as $4.20, really just having fun with the number, being stupid, maybe $4.50. I feel like that is like bragging level. You can be bullish on NIO right here. And by the end of 2026, maybe it's up at that 50-week moving average around $11 there. And you would have, 2x'd your position, nearly 2x'd your position. And so I think that's definitely something, that's on the table there. But if you want to look back at the chart and brag, that would be waiting for it to test around $5. And then you can, brag to your girlfriend a year from now and saying, look, I bought this at $5. And maybe even she would be impressed. But buying at 6, buying at 7 or 8, she would probably not be too impressed. But you could probably tell her a story about buying this dip when everybody was panicking. And like the reason for me why I would not want to re-enter NIO is because there's just such a dynamic between the US and China that makes me a little uneasy holding the stock. But if it did come back to 5, I think that would be a beautiful retest of this level before it could break out, getting up to 11, maybe coming back up to the highs over here around $60. But again, this is the monthly, so that could take multiple years to get up there. But I could see that happening, and China is also, kind of a, talked about country as far as the production of EVs and being a competitor to Tesla and whatever the US is putting out. So I do find this to be compelling. I do find this to be interesting. I would just want it to be on sale more. I want a Black Friday sale, and I'm not seeing it just yet. Or maybe I want to see like a Boxing Day sale. I think that's the day after Christmas. But I also wanted to throw out the drawings here that I have. There's going to be a little bit of a clutter, but you'll still be able to see this channel that I drew over here. And so on that monthly, trading within that channel did break out. And so pulling back to around 5 or 420 would be a retest of not only this 20-week moving average, but also a retest of that channel, which, I hand drew it, so it's going to be a little bit wonky. So maybe put more weight on finding support around 5. But if it does come lower, and again, thinking about this on the monthly time frame, this is like a slower pace thing. So if it goes below $5 for, let's say, December or maybe January, but then closes above $5 for the month, that would be a wick below, representing a dip buying opportunity, a generational bragging opportunity. That would be like buying the lows over here from April of 2025, lows of 302. This would be like the same type of thing, except buying around 5. And that could be a very nice position to hold for years at that point. But right now, people are going to bash me for saying that I think it's coming down to 5. They're going to tell me I'm wrong, all of that. Check the comments. They will be there saying it. And, that's fine, but that's like sheep mentality. That's herd mentality. If you want this to go long, you buy it. And one thing, this is a little bit of a tangent, but something I just discovered with Black Friday sales on Amazon, you can look at the sale history, the price history, and it will give you a little graph. And it's like, oh, I want to buy this because it's on sale. But, oh, actually, if I look back a couple months ago, it was actually a little bit cheaper. Dang it, I wish I would have bought then when it was on sale. And so, yeah, I think 5 to 420 will be one of those sales that we will look back on and wish, dang it, I wish I got it back then. Just like, over here around 3. Dang it, I wish I would have got it then. But, it is what it is. And yeah, just with earnings, my expectation, not necessarily related to earnings, but just kind of my sentiment, whether it's the stock or the market in general, is that we will see a dead cat bounce and then a pullback to actually retest this around 5. And then it will, go out, because I think, there's still emotion. There's still, it's like a cat that catches a squirrel or catches a mouse or whatever. It plays with it a little before it bites off its head, And I think that's what market makers and whatnot, larger positions are doing. They're playing with us now before they bite off the heads of those who don't have the conviction to hold longer term. And I do think that the playing will bring us down to 5, get people paper hands to lose conviction. It's back at 5. I'm not doing this anymore. And then it goes up to 60 over the next 2 years, 2026, 2027, something like that. So yeah, I think that this looks like it's looking beautiful. I just think that it has a little bit more pain to dish out before it does go higher. Sorry, this is 10 minutes longer than I had intended, but hopefully it was valuable for you guys. Good luck trading earnings, and I'll try to do a follow-up when there's more data that does stand out to me. But yeah, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you did find them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, NIO coverage, and diving into the unusual whales options data there. Hopefully my explanation was helpful for you guys. See you later. Bye.